Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm in Atwater. And the story I want to share with you today is about a guy named Perry Roark. For those of you that follow this genre, you probably heard the name before. He's one of the founders of DMI. Now, I'm from the West Coast, so I don't know anything about DMI. My first encounter with a DMI member, DMI is a Dead Man Incorporated, is when I met Perry Roark. Him and a guy named Sweeney started the organization. Just to give you a little history, they were created out of Baltimore State Prison. Roark wanted to be part of a BGF, but the BGF, the Black Guerrilla family, only allowed black people into the organization. But they sanctioned Perry Roark and blessed him to start his own entity, DMI. Long story short, they used to be the hitman, they used to collect and everything for the BGF. And then eventually they got big, and now supposedly the story goes they beef with the BGF. But the DMI, they weren't just a white gang. They weren't on that white power, white supremacist, neo-Nazi stuff. Because out in Baltimore, for those of you who are familiar with that area, it's a mixed culture of blacks, Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, and all down the line. So when Roark came to Atwater, he functioned more with the blacks than he did with the whites. DCs, Baltimore, Virginia dudes, those were all the people that he considered his homies. And they knew him, he knew them. Well, how I met Roark, or Rock, we call him Rock, was he lived in my unit. You know, he comes in there, I don't have no idea who he is. Yeah, this is DMI, this is DMI, that. He's this guy, he's that guy. But for me, I don't know nothing about him. But he had a cellie named 5'3". 5'3". He swore he was 5'6", and didn't know why they called him 5'3". But me and him was in Beaumont together, little white dude from Louisiana, and he helps run the football tickets. You know, he was running his own ticket, and I told you at the time that me and Joe Wells started our ticket, I ended up going to the shoe. Well, while I was in the shoe, 5'3", had a hit. Somebody hit his ticket for like $300-400 bucks. But 5'3" didn't have the $300-400 bucks to pay out. But also there was some shit in with the hit. You know, they knew that the dude that he was working with or whatever, that's supposed to be signing off, they all scheme on him and somehow made the hit, got to hit the ticket. Well, 5'3" didn't have any books, but 5'3" is white from Louisiana. So Joe Wells, his name is Country, my partner, stepped in and mediated and paid the hit off. So when I came out, I was about $300 bucks short on the pot, you know, for our ticket. But Country told me, explain the situation, and that's how 5'3" ended up working for us. He ended up doing our tickets for us, running the numbers and everything for us, printing it up and everything for a discount until he paid back off his debt. So that's how me and 5'3" got cool. I mean, I already knew him from Beaumont. I knew him to be a good dude, but he's just not one of the big white boys. He's not some tough guy, so a few people feel like that's a green light, take advantage of somebody. For me, listen, man, if you're not a sex offender, if you're not a rapist, if you're not a child molester, if you're not a rat or a buster, I'm not gonna ever prey on you just because I feel like you can't fight or something like that. So I've always been against that kind of shit. But anyway, So I do what I do in Atwater. You know, things touch my hands all the time. So every time something touch my hand, I bless 5-3 because, well, he's on my team now. He does my ticket for me. You know, so I look out for him because we're not really paying him to do the ticket. And the ticket, if anybody knows, if anybody's ever been a bookie or if you ever created any type of business, it takes a lot of work to get everything done on time. So I understand that and I appreciate the things that he did. So every time something touched my hand, I'd bless him. Well, he so happens to be Perry Roark's celly. So one day I'm at the white TV area. I'm not sitting on their table, but I'm just, you know, a couple feet away from where they sit. So I'm watching a program they're watching. Days right before count. You know, count time over there in Atwater is about 3:30. They lock us in, count us till about 4:15, 4:20, or whatever. So I pull up the chair and I'm sitting there watching the TV. And if anybody ever knows or see the profile on Roark, he's a big ass human being. His head is about the size of a basketball, literally. His biceps are bigger than my head. He wears size either 15 or 17 shoes. He's just a big, massive human being, you know. But like I said, I don't know him from Adam. And I've never been one of those who are easily impressed or impressionable. I do me. And right now in Atwater, I had to run to the yard, which means I'm not running the yard or anything like that. Just I do what I want. I know everybody there, everything that comes through Atwater, somehow, some way, I'm able, if I wanted to, if I was interested in it, I'd be able to get my hands on it. So I'm a hustler. I stay in everything. I have my hands dipped in every jar because I'm eating. I'm not calling home asking for money. I'm just grinding and making my own living off the yard. So like I said, every time something comes through, something touches my hand, I bless 5-3. He lives in my block. I deal with him every single day on a ticket and other stuff. So I'm sitting there watching TV and this big old white boy pulls up a chair next to me. And he already knows my name. You know, I was in the unit already before he came in. He's only been in the unit for a few months. Now, like me, when somebody comes into a unit, I like to observe them for a few months before I deal with them, before I have any interaction with them. One, I want to know if they're going to be clean, if their homeboy's going to knock them off the yard. Because usually when you're foul, you don't last more than 3 months. You know, whether that's your paperwork is bad, they find out, they smash you off, or whether, you know, about 3 months it's a good amount of time to let people get accustomed to the environment and present their true self. So when people first come in, even if they're fucked up, they might behave a certain way so that other people won't notice who they really are. But I always have a saying, like actors like Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, you know, Halle Berry and all them, they get paid millions of dollars to act because acting is not an easy job. So you can keep up a persona, you know, you can project a certain image only for so long before who you really are comes out. So usually between 3 or 4 months, things get settled, whether they're gonna be on the yard or not, or they're gonna get their head cracked and move on or whatever. So that's why when people come in through the door into my unit, I don't go introducing myself. I don't go and try to get to know them or anything. I just watch to see how their people deal with them. The only way that I'll interact with you before that time period, if it's somebody that I know, introduce you to me. If somebody I know and trust and knows a good person comes and introduce you to me, then I'm gonna take it like, you know, this person wouldn't have introduced you to me if he didn't have respect for you. And that goes a long way with anybody else. I don't go and introduce myself to people. If I want to meet somebody, if If I know somebody's on the yard doing something or whatever, making moves, and I want to get to know them, I'm not going to go ask them. I'm going to ask somebody that I know that knows them to introduce me to them. You know, when you're being introduced, it's almost like a stamp of approval. So me and people like me, that's how we usually operate. That's how usually we get to know other people and build our network. So Rock, I call him Rock. He pulls up next to me. Say, hey man, what's up, man? I say, hey, what's up? He introduced himself to me, and I shake his hand. He's like, hey, you got any more of that? Now, like I said, I don't have any conversations with people just to have conversation with people. So when people ask me about my business that I have not introduced to them, a wall gets put up and red flags start beeping, you know, red light, whatever, is a warning sign. But it's just a defensive mechanism for me. I'm not in the habit of discussing things and sharing things with individuals that aren't intimately involved with me. That's how I survived so long in the penitentiary without getting caught up. I mean, I've been put under numerous investigations, been locked up in the SHU numerous of times, but I've never been, caught with anything. Absolutely nothing, except for a knife and some wine. But, you can only hide, there's only so many hiding places for those things. Eventually, you're gonna get caught slipping. So he's like, hey man, what's up? I said, what's up? He said, hey, you got any more of that? And I'm looking at him, I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, man, stop playing. You know what I'm talking about. I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So he looked at me. Because of who he was, he thought that I was just supposed to be like, oh yeah, homie, yeah, I got whatever you need. Like I said, I don't know him from Adam. So he looked at me. Now, I'm telling you, this is a big-ass human being. Anybody that knows him, he's freaking humongous, especially compared to me. I'm 5'6", 5'5 3/4", 150 pounds. But that's besides the point. I conduct myself a certain way, regardless if it's some little guy I'm talking to, or some big dude I'm talking to, or whether it's one guy or 100 motherfucker. I stick to my principles, and I conduct myself the way that I know has helped me exist and helped me survive the environment. So he's like, oh, it's like that? I was like, listen, homie, I don't know what you're talking about. So me and him had a little staring contest. Like, he just looked at me because he probably feel disrespected in a way where I'm not just opening myself up to him, that, his status, his infamy or whatever should be his, players cards with me. But again, I don't know him. This is my first interaction with him in the block. Well, anyway, they call for lockdown. So we go in the cell. Everybody go in lockdown in the cell for count. I go in my cell and I ask my homeboy, I say, hey man, who's this big ass white boy? He said, who's that? And I tell him the name. He's like, oh yeah, I heard from him. He's from out of Baltimore. He started some gang named DMI-Dead Inc. or whatever. He's like, what's up, why, what's up? I said, I don't know. Me and him had just an exchange. He tried to hit me up about something, and I just, I played dumb. But I didn't just play dumb. I'm just letting him know that this is conversation. It's not for me and you. I've never introduced this conversation to you. So there's no reason for you to ever bring anything up that I'm not opened up for, to discuss. So I was like, but you know what? But he's 5'3" Selly. So I know whatever I'm doing with 5'3" fucked up, and let the dude know. And I'm not cool with that. But like I said, anytime I go into a situation, I'm always trying to figure out how I can succeed, how I can win. So when the doors open up, my intention is to go upstairs, go in their cell, go holler at 5'3", and let him know what's going on, and then go talk to Roark and let him know, hey man, dealing with me, don't ask me questions. I don't answer questions. I don't volunteer information. But as soon as the door opened, 5'3" comes down into my cell. I'm in cell 101. 5'3's upstairs by the corner. So by the time they pop, they go around and pop each door open one at a time, making their rounds. And I guess they started upstairs today, because by the time my cell was popped open, 5'3 was in my cell. The guy from Louisiana. He opens my door, he said, hey Mason, man, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't say nothing, I just let him go, man, that's my bad, man, that's my bad, man. I should have never mentioned anything to him about what we were doing. I should have never said anything to him about what you're doing. And you know what? I told him, but listen, the dude's good. I read his paperwork. The dude's in here for multiple murders. He's got like 2 bodies and there's still 5 missing. And listen, man, I fucked up, but I really don't want to have the conversation with Rock, man. He's a good dude. I know you ain't never met. He's a good dude, but listen, man, I fucked up, and I apologize. And I already told him that you were good, and that you don't do that. You don't talk to people. You don't discuss your business. That's why a lot of people fuck with you, this and that. So I was like, all right. So I'm trying to calm him down because he just kept talking, but we can see that he's terrified of Perry Roark. Like, and this dude is a legit dude. I mean, as far as the world that we live in, he's all that. He started an organization. He's a gangster. And by every account, he's a killer. They got bodies missing still on his case. He's in there for multiple life sentence. And they still got like 5 bodies that they're still investigating on this dude. So I just tell 5'3", look, calm down. Don't worry about it. But I don't need to remind you, man, this is how we stay out of the shoe. This is how we stay away from investigations, is by keeping our mouth shut, by conducting our business the way we're supposed to do it. Anyway, 5'3" rolls out. I look at my cell, he sent me, and we just started laughing because, 5'3 is a good dude. But like I said, he's not no killer or nothing. And the thing that I appreciate about him, he never tried to be. So I respected him in that aspect, and I respect him as a human being, as a man. Like, he's not gonna steal from you. He's not gonna do any type of bullshit. But at the same time, he's not really looking to, for any funk. And he was just, the way he was talking to me and my cellie, he was just terrified of this dude, Perry Roark, and didn't want to have a discussion with him. So that being said, I'm intrigued now. It's like, okay, so who's this big white boy that came to, that I just had this encounter with? I mean, I know 5'3", I know he's a good dude, so I just let that part go, him discussing my business with this individual. So through the course of the time, I had a little bit more interaction with Perry Roark. But to be able to tell his story, it's gonna take me longer than this 15, 20 minutes. So join me again on the next episode for part 2. Welcome to the USP.